Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. Going into news and prophecy, linking the things happening worldwide to the Holy Scriptures. All right, so that the elect can make sense, all right, of these happenings according to Bible prophecy. All right, as we go to the volume of the book, all right, through the Spirit, all right, sent by the Most High God, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, by Hashem, in the name of Yahweh Shai, all right, the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, our mediator, our high priest, and our way back to the Father in these latter days via the Holy Spirit, Rachakwadash, all right, which gives us insight. And as we receive the insight, all right, we go to the highways and the byways, all right, and we also do these videos to bring clarity, all right. Now we're living, all right, you know, at the end of Esau's world, all right, which we believe the end of this beast system, all right, will come in our time, in our lifetime. We believe through faith, first and foremost, that our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, all right, is coming in our lifetime. We believe that we are in those times associated, all right, with the kingdom that will be destroyed, Babylon the Great, which is America, the breaking up of this beast system, all right, and ultimately the Heavenly Father is setting up a righteous kingdom on the planet Earth, all right, under the authority of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which that's going to be the throne of David, all right, the tabernacle of David, which is a government that will be rooted in righteousness, ran by Israelites, okay? Now, as you see here, a lot is happening. You know, there's a lot of division, all right, a lot of things that are leading, all right, to war. There's many nations, all right, joining themselves unto Russia, all right. There is a sour taste in the mouth of the nations associated, you know, with the West, all right, and also associated with Israel. You're starting to see, all right, the state of Israel and Babylon the Great, which is America, all right, be the talking point, you know, of shame when it comes to these nations, all right. And we see a lot happening with this BRICS that has been formed, all right, which is supposed to be, you know, taking over the U.S. dollar, which if you believe that that's going to take over the U.S. dollar, all right, then ultimately you, you know, you see a lot of these clickbait titles from some of these alternative media channels. You know, BRICS is going to take over the dollar is dead. Well, not so fast. All right. As this as the priest Shaman broke down in this video, okay, GMS Overdrive 144, GMS, will BRICS currency replace the dollar as the world reserve currency? And the answer is no, all right. However, as we're going to get into, which BRICS was just formulated, and you can watch that video, subscribe, be edified. The purpose of BRICS, all right, was these nations coming together, all right, and formulating, you know, a currency, all right, in a way around certain sanctions, all right, that are put on by the U.S. surrounding that dollar. Now, close to 60%, all right, of all transactions in the world are settled in U.S. dollars. But since, you know, this whole Ukraine deal, all right, there's been, you know, sanctions put on Russia, all right, and which Russia and America still does business together, all right, proving that an embargo was not the mark of the beast, all right. When you look into it, Russia and America, even after the sanctions that were put on Russia, still do trade together, all right. They still have, you know, shared interest. You can look that up, all right. Although they're, as you can see here, they're declining, all right. The trade between the two countries has been declining since the sanctions that have been put on, all right, by Creepy Joe in America, put on Russia, all right, which that didn't really hurt Russia, all right. But when you look at BRICS, all right, these particular nations, all right, are forming this alliance, all right, so that they can trade, all right, and be able to move things about, import, outport outside of the US dollar. Okay. Now, this article here, and that's all prophetic. Okay. Because in Russia is a part of it, and Russia is ultimately leading, all right, this charge against the West because it's prophetic. Okay. And all of the kings in the earth, all right, are doing the bidding of the Lord. As a matter of fact, when you get Proverbs 21:1, it says the king's heart, which the Hebrew word for heart is lab. It means your mind. The king's mind is in the hand of Yahweh via the angels. Okay, it is the angels that operate on the minds of people on the earth to do what they do. Even the elect, there's particular angels, okay, keeping us in the way. Okay. So the king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. All right. And when you go into biblical prophecy, understand that Russia's role. All right. This is the book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, and the 2nd verse. And it says the beast, which is this beast system that we live in today. All right. Well, how did it start? All right. What nation, okay, in history was at the forefront of starting the beast system that we currently live in? Well, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which when you go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, the leopard symbolizes the Greeks. Okay. Starting with Alexander. All right. The freak of Alexander the Great, which even before him, his father and their cohorts had been conquering those Japhetic lands. All right. But when you read the book of Maccabees, you can get into the history of our people, the Jews, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, all right, as they were scattered in that captivity. Okay. And they waged war on our people. So the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. All right. Meaning the end of this beast system. The feet represent, all right, the very bottom or the end. All right. Just like in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. All right. The feet, the 10 toes would be in disarray. They would be in division, representing Europe, the EU nations, along with NATO, all right, headed by Babylon the Great. The revival of Rome would be divided. And when you look at what's happening, EU countries are divided against Babylon. You have particular NATO members threatening to join the BRICS. Okay. You have many countries looking at America with the side eye. You have Israel waging war, America waging war, leading these nations to, turn bitter and form, particular coups, in which these particular coups and alliances are going to lead to the destruction of America. So the feet of it were as the feet of a bear. And when you look up this word bear in the Greek, it's arctos, which simply just means bear, right? But when you go to the root word, all right, archeo, it says to be possessed of unfailing strength, all right, to be strong, to suffice, to be enough, to defend. And when you read Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, Russia is said to be a guard unto these nations. So many of these African nations, all right, many nations are now, coming up under the banner of Russia, which is them forming their own beast system. All right. And pretty much the dominance of the West, since the Cold War, it's waning. All right. Because remember, NATO was, started to combat the USSR, which was Russia's power. But, Russia and the USSR pretty much disbanded. And NATO, America was a powerhouse up until these times where things are starting to change. All right. And the Lord is putting a spirit upon Russia. That's why you constantly see them in the news. All right. And you can look it up. Russia is symbolized by the bear. Okay. The widespread symbol of Russia has been used since the 16th century, is depicted as a Euro-Asian brown bear. Okay. And it symbolizes strength, ferocity, national personification. Okay. Totem, worship. all right, which the Russians are used by the Heavenly Father, to do a great work in the latter days. All right. But the Lord is still against them. They're still heathen, it's still Edomites for the most part. And the Lord is against them. All right. But as he said, he would have Egyptian against Egyptian. Of course, we know America is divided, but all of these Edomites on the world stage are divided, which is going to lead to war. And usually currency wars, all right, and trade wars lead to physical wars. And the Lord is setting it all up. So I have this article here, all right, to tap into a little bit of it, because no, the BRICS isn't going to take over the dominance of the U.S. dollar. Okay, but ultimately what's happening, all right, is a side eye is being formed towards the West, all right, which eventually is going to lead to war. Okay, and yeah, they eventually will collapse the dollar to bring about digital money. All right, but as you see here, it says ex-Pentagon official says BRICS formed in response to the West's odious system. Okay, former Pentagon analyst Michael Malouf has predicted that Washington's weaponization of the dollar drive even more countries towards BRICS. See that? All right, Washington's weaponization of the dollar will drive even more countries toward the BRICS. And here it is, you have someone who was in the Pentagon as an analyst, which is nothing but nasty, freaky pedo behavior, all right, and destructive, destructive things going on from the Pentagon. Okay, it's a part of the beast system, but at the end of the day, people are leaving, all right, and basically outing their own damn turf, their own tongues are falling upon themselves. So, all right, Malouf told ex-British, all right, MP George Galloway that this week's BRICS summit in Russia will entice more countries to join the growing group, and that Washington only has itself to blame. All right. BRICS was originally formed in 2006 by Brazil, Russia, India, and China. South Africa joined in 2011 with Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, all right, and the United Arab Emirates following in January. Yes, Saudi Arabia, all right, joined. Okay, dropping I believe, 70+ year deal they had with the petrodollar. Okay, they're seeking to join. They've joined and aligned with BRICS. Okay, Ethiopia, which when you go to the book of Ezekiel, 38th chapter, this speaks to that. Okay, this is the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, which we have a lesson going to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter in its entirety. All right, because you have particular people, mainly IUIC, the Genesis. All right, they are of the opinion that this is all going to take place after we're delivered, and brought back to the land of Israel. And then these particular nations are all going to form an alliance and come up against us. That shows you the spirit's just not working with them cats. But at the end of the day, this is the book of Genesis, Ezekiel 38:2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, and that's dealing with the Meshech and Tubal, dealing with the area of Turkey, Armenia. All right, which Turkey, all right, and Armenia eventually are going to side with Russia. And we're going to show you, all right, things pointing to that. Okay, and once that happens, pretty much NATO is through, because Turkey is pretty much, outside of America, the greatest, all right, military might of NATO. Okay, but if they leave NATO and side with Russia, okay, that only means doom, all right, for the West. All right, which the West ain't looking at the moves that Turkey has been making. All right, and Turkey has always played the fence, right? But prophetically, they're eventually going to side with Russia. It says, and prophesy against him. Okay, Gog, the land of Magog, points to Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. All right, it says, and say, thus saith the Lord God, behold, And all you have to do is look up ancient biblical maps. We do it all the time. All right. But you can look it up yourself too. It says, "Thus said the Lord God, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal." So I'm against you. All right. You're still Edomites, right? But you're going to be used, as it says here, "I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws," which is something you put, all right, into the jaw of a wild animal to tame it, meaning the Lord will bring them back to that USSR, all right, Soviet spirit that Russia used to be in, all right, that frightened the West, all right, and that was responsible for forming NATO. All right, all you have to do is look up why was NATO formed. Let's look it up here. Why was NATO formed? Which NATO is a military might, a military alliance. See, the BRICS is more of a monetary, a monetary alliance, but underhandedly, all right, I believe through the spirit that they have things in line for military-wise as well against the West, against Israel. All right, NATO was created in 1949 to provide defense against the Soviet Union and to protect the freedom of its members, the Soviet threat. All right, and you can go into that history, but there you go. So NATO was formed to combat Russia, which eventually weakened, only to get stronger here in these latter days, right? And it says here, "I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I will put you in that wild spirit you used to be in, that aggressive bear-like spirit, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor." And if you look at, Russia, they're going in. They have all kind of weapons, nuclear weapons. Okay, they're arming up these particular, Hamite nations who've been crushed by, the West and EU. They're running to Russia. Okay, and pretty much, getting to Libya. Okay, Ethiopia. Okay, and many, nations are aligning themselves with Russia to fulfill this prophecy. Even with the great company of bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. And all you have to do is type in Russia-Persia alliance, Russia-Ethiopia alliance, Russia-Libya alliance, and you'll see, all right, because Persia is Iran, and you'll see that this is all speaking right now. All of them with shield and helmet. All right. So ultimately, all right, as we read in this article, and we'll go back to Ezekiel 38, as you can see here, this alliance of BRICS sort of speaks to that prophecy, although the prophecy that we're reading is more so dealing with military alliances. Okay, this will all lead to war. Okay, it says BRICS was founded in 2006 by Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa joined in 2011 with Ethiopia, Egypt, Iran, see, and the United Arab Emirates following, all right, in January 2024. And the elites have their hands over this all. We know that. They even call themselves the Global South, right? But again, even the elites don't agree, right? They're all divided. Russia currently chairs the group. See that? Russia currently chairs the group. More than 30 nations, including Turkey, have applied to join. See, Turkey, all right, has applied to join. Okay. And let me see here. I think I have this. Let me bring it up. All right. What lies behind Turkey's ties with Russia and bid to join BRICS? And we'll get into that. All right, but I want to read a little bit more in this article. All right. Speaking on Galloway's mother of all talk shows, all right, Maloof applauded Russian President Vladimir Putin, okay, for recognizing that countless states around the world are seeking a more inclusive economic system. See, because pretty much you have to deal with that dollar in order to trade. If you want gold, you want coffee, there's particular things that if you want those things, you're going to have to deal in that US dollar. See? So these nations, seeking away from around that dollar gives them, all right, a way to trade and settle, all right, trades outside of the dollar. Okay? Which that speaks to prophecy, as I'm going to show you. Okay? So Maloof, applauded Russian President Vladimir Putin for recognizing that countless states around the world are seeking a more inclusive economic system, all right, looking, in his words, to get out from under the odious sanctions of the West and the financial system that has really, all right, encumbered them. All right, let's look up this word because I don't know it. I don't like to read words and go in and say words that I really don't know. All right. Let's see here. And yeah, you got camps talking about sanctions and embargoes or the mark of the beast because you can't buy and sell no more. All right, if you have an embargo. Well, Russia and America still do trade together, even after the embargo or sanctions that were put on them. All right. It says restriction or burden. All right. So the having to deal with the dollar and the sanctions that were put on these particular countries by America has, pretty much held them back from being able to trade and do particular things. And this is one of the main ways nations commit fornication with Babylon is through, all right, that dollar. Okay, it says the United States is in charge, all right, of the rules-based order, which means they can not only make rules, but break them at will. See? And we've seen this constantly in its own decision making. And the world is saying we've seen enough of this crap. Okay, and that speaks to prophecy as well. Let's get the book of Habakkuk. See, the book of Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter. Right, Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, speaks directly to that statement. Okay, let's read the statement again. Okay. The United States has been in charge of rules-based order, which means they can not only make the rules, but break them at will. And we've seen this constantly in its own decision making, and the world is saying we've seen enough of this crap. Okay, this is the book of Habakkuk. Okay, chapter 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgressed by wine, his philosophies, his way of ruling is completely wicked. Okay, it goes against the natural way, even how he uses, usury, debt, to enslave nations. It says he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. He's all over the world, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. All right. He wants all nations and all people under his control. All right. Shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe unto him that increaseth in that which is not his? How long? See, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. So these nations are taking up a taunting proverb and saying, how long is this devil going to increase and be able to sit on a high horse, all right, and be able to just benefit off of ill-gotten gain and debt, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Okay? Because with that dollar comes a fee. All right? And with that dollar comes debt. Ibatyat is the Hebrew word, wages. All right? Weight of pledges, heavy debts. Okay? There you go. And the U.S. currency is a debt-based currency. So as you can see here, nations are saying, we've seen enough of this. We're going to be seeing challenges of the hegemony of the dollar. See that? And the weaponization of the dollar and the Western system. And we're already seeing mechanisms that will be offered at the summit this week, he continued, after it was effectively excommunicated from the Western financial system. All right. Over the Ukraine conflict in 2022, Russia stepped up its effort to settle foreign trade rules in other currencies. See, we did not refuse to settle transactions in the dollar. Rather, we were refused and we were simply forced to look for other options. Okay? And they doing good for themselves. All right? Putin explained at the Eastern Economic Forum. Putin noted that Russia and its BRICS partners are now using national currencies in 65% of mutual trade settlements. Okay? And again, the priest Shaman goes deeper into these things, you know, in his video. I know the Elder Rakaya Kwan, the Elder Arialade always go into this as well. All right, but it says, according to Reuters, Russia will propose a new blockchain, all right, international financial system at this week's summit. All right, and blockchain eventually is going to lead to the MOTB. All right, everything recorded. It says, while Moscow has not commented on Reuters report, Russian finance minister, yada yada yada, all right, told RT in Moscow and other BRICS countries are working on a new cross-border payment infrastructure independent of the Western SWIFT system. See that? So they're looking for ways to trade and settle, you know, deals outside of that dollar. The willingness of the U.S. and its allies to weaponize the dollar and shut rival powers out of the Western system has pushed even Washington-friendly countries like Brazil, India, all right, and the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, to seek alternate arrangements. Maloof said, this coupled with the fact that sanctions have driven Russia and China to enter into a closer partnership demonstrates that you don't see strategic thinking coming out of the United States anymore. And as the scriptures say let's get the book of Obadiah. Okay, the first chapter. Or the only chapter, right? Basically, they're making moves that are going to, you know, the pride of their heart have deceived them, and they're making moves that is ultimately going to work against them in the long run. Okay, because they've been dominant for so long. Obadiah verse 2, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. So you see America is greatly despised, man. Those small hats are greatly despised. See, the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwelleth in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay, he's proud. Okay, he's went from caveman to on top of the world. Okay, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest amongst the stars, from thence will I bring thee down. Okay, give me 1 second here. I'm going to jump to verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy, all right, all of these nations who were once at agreement with you, okay, even Saudi Arabia is an example of that. Many EU nations are tired of your ass. As the scriptures say, his look will be more stout than his fellows. The pride of Esau here in Babylon is going to lead him to losing in the end. Okay? It says, goodness gracious. Verse 7, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. All right? See? All these alliances are going to break and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, see, that debt, all right, have laid a wound under thee. Okay? They that were a part of that dollar, now they're laying a wound under thee, and there is no understanding in him. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise man out of Edom and the understanding out of the mount of Esau? And what does this guy say at the end of this article? All right. It said, this coupled with the fact that sanctions have driven Russia and China into an even closer partnership demonstrates you don't see strategic thinking coming out of the United States anymore. Okay. Now let's get the book of Isaiah 13 and 17. Babylon will fall to the Medes. See, and this is a future prophecy. And how do we know? Because when you read verse 19, it says, "In Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah." The ancient Neo-Babylonian empire that fell to the Medes and the Persians didn't fall like that. It says it shall never be inhabited again, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. See, this hasn't happened yet, right? This is a future prophecy, but it's written in code. See, the Neo-Babylonian empire fell, by a few wars and skirmishes, and the kingdom was translated from the Babylonians to the Medes and the Persians. It wasn't no nuclear war, all right? And people are still inhabiting the land of ancient, where Iraq, the physical landmass of Babylon is where Iraq is today. People are still over there. So this here is speaking to something that is happening now. This is Isaiah 13 and 17. "Behold, I will stir up the Medes, and the Medes speak to the Russians." When you look up the territory of the ancient Medes Empire, who were a Japhetic people, right? It's fixated, all right on the borders of the territory of the USSR, which was associated with Russia today. Okay, you just look up the map. "Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it." There you go. See that? They shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, meaning they're not delighting in the US dollar, right? And ultimately, they're leading many other nations to have that mindset. As a matter of fact, when you go to this summit, all right, I believe this is one of the higher ups in India, all right, Jai Shaknar sends clear message to the West from BRICS Summit, all right. And we ain't gonna play it all, but just listen to the talking point, the mindset towards the West that these nations have.
Your Excellency, President Vladimir Putin, Highnesses, Excellencies, friends. It is my honor to represent Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the BRICS Outreach segment. I convey his greetings to all of you. Let me join colleagues in thanking President Vladimir Putin for the excellent arrangements and the warm hospitality. Excellencies, we face the paradox that even as forces of change have advanced, some long-standing issues have only become more complex. On the one hand, there is the steady diversification of production and consumption. Nations that attained independence from colonialism have accelerated their development and socio-economic progress. New capabilities emerged, facilitating the harnessing of more talent. This economic, political, and cultural rebalancing has now reached a point where we can contemplate real multipolarity. The BRICS itself is a statement of how profoundly the old order is changing.
See, the BRICS is a statement of how the old order is changing, right? And the old order was the world being dominated, all right, and trade and everything, all right, being dominated by the dollar, right? Yeah, this video.
At the same time, many iniquities of the past also continue. In fact, they have assumed new forms and manifestations. We see that in the access to developmental resources and modern technology and efficiencies. Let us also recognize that the benefits of globalization have been very uneven. Adding to all that, the COVID pandemic and multiple conflicts have aggravated the burdens borne by the global south. Concerns of health, food, and fuel security are particularly acute. The Summit of the Future underlined that the world is in real danger of falling significantly behind in realizing SDG targets. How do we reconcile this contradiction and ensure that the benefits of change reach those who are currently left behind? How do we create a more equitable global order? First, by strengthening and expanding platforms of an independent nature, and by widening the choices in different domains and minimizing undue reliance on those that can be leveraged. This is really where BRICS can make a difference for the global south. Second, by reforming established institutions and mechanisms especially the UN Security Council in the permanent and the non-permanent categories. So too, the multilateral development banks, whose working procedures are just as outdated as that of the UN. India initiated an effort during its G20 presidency, and we are glad to see that Brazil is taking it forward. Third, by democratizing the global economy through creating more production hubs. The COVID experience is a sharp reminder of the need for more resilient, redundant, and shorter supply chains. For essential needs, every region legitimately aspires to create their own production capabilities.
There you go. We need our own production capabilities. You can listen to more of it. But again, as you can see, the mindset that Russia is leading at this BRICS. Let's read it again. Isaiah 13 and 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver. And as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Now we know gold and silver was taken from behind the dollar. But this is speaking to the dollar. Okay. And they're no longer delighting in it. Right. And the Russians are like cold-blooded warriors, man. Their bows also shall dash the young men into pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. This is speaking to Russia, which is coded under the Medes. Okay. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldeans' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited again, nor dwelt in from generation to generation. So this is all leading to the destruction of Babylon the Great, because why this is just a trade, alliance. We know prophetically these very nations are going to be linked unto Russia for war purposes, man. Okay. And let's not forget, okay, there's another one. Putin warns U.S. is making a big mistake weaponizing the dollar. Okay. Let's see what he says here. Let's see here. The vast wave of sanctions against Russia have forced many Western companies from various industrial sectors, including food, clothing, car manufacturing, to leave the country. All right, and have severely restricted people's ability to travel and make international bank transfers, she noted. Okay. It says here, according to Rousseff, the global politics is being adversely affected by the U.S. dollar as a weapon to change the living conditions of the population. It says Putin agreed with the assessment and says, yes, indeed, we can see that this is true. In fact, I think it is a big mistake by those who do this. The West and their sanctions. The dollar remains the most important instrument of world finance, and using it as a means of achieving political goals undermines, confidence in its currency and reduces its capabilities. Okay, the Russian president said, Russia does not seek to drop the dollar or defeat it. All right. But instead, it would take so much to defeat the dollar. All right. And when you look at the dominance of the dollar, it has to be a higher power that takes this devil down with that. All right. It says, but instead, now the dollar is, being weakened. It is being devalued, by inflation. All right. But when you look at the hegemony of the West, man, the power, man, that's why they're called a hammer of the earth in the scriptures, man. And the force behind that dollar is really the sword. Okay, the threat of what happens to you if you try to leave it. Okay, so Russia is saying here, we do not seek to drop the dollar or defeat it, but instead is being prevented from working with it. Putin added, then we are forced to look for other alternatives, which is what's happening. Many Russian financial institutions were cut off from the Western financial system in 2022 in response to Russia's military operation in Ukraine, which NATO is behind that. America's behind that, because there was a covenants and agreements that they made, all right, that NATO wouldn't push towards Russia anymore. They wouldn't push east anymore. But from that point that they made that covenant, all right, they've added, close to, close to maybe 20 more members, man. And they're definitely pushing towards Russia. If they add Ukraine as a member, that means that the NATO has an ally in the front yard of Russia. Hell no, they're not with that. That goes against the promise that NATO made. So, you know, it's nothing but wickedness at the end of the day. As a result, Moscow's accelerated trade with international partners using national currencies. The trend has been increasingly supported by BRICS members, which have shifted from using the dollar and euro to trade for trade settlements. Okay. Let's see here. So let's get this scripture here, and then I want to get into the aspect of Turkey. This is Jeremiah 51 and 41. How is Shishak taken, which is another name for Babylon? Shishak means in linen. When you get Revelation, the 18th chapter, Babylon the Great, all right, is symbolized with linen, meaning the great riches that it had, right? It says, how is Shishak taken, and how is the praise of the whole earth surprised? How has Babylon become an astonishment among the nations? The sea is come upon Babylon, and she is covered with the multitude of the waves thereof. All of these, all right, different nations are over here. Okay, all of these migrants, different people with alternative or ulterior motives, as it talks about all of the mingled people. Let's get that real quick. Give me 1 second. All of the mingled people, man. Which they're allowing these migrants over here because they have many motives with that. Okay. And a lot of these, there's going to be a lot of crazy people let loose too when it's all said and done. This is the book of Jeremiah 50 and 37. A sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. See that? All these migrants, immigrants. Okay. You don't know who the hell is over here. Okay. This place is being set up for the right hand. All right. And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. See that? Let's go back to Jeremiah 51. All right. I'm going to jump to the point. Jeremiah 51 and 44, and I will 44, and I will punish Baal in Babylon. Okay, and I will bring forth out of his mouth all that he hath swallowed up. And the nations shall not flow together any more unto him. See, the nations are not flowing, all right, together anymore unto Babylon. They're looking for a way around Babylon and its dominance and its dollar. Yea, the wall of Babylon shall fall. See, the wall of Babylon shall fall. The Lord's determination for this place is destroy it, Mr. Anton Daniels. Right? And the rest of you, this place is going to be destroyed. That's the Lord's determination to this place. All right. The gig is up. Okay. And here it is. You got this travesty of a presidency. You don't know if it's a prank or are they really being serious, man. All right. You're the laughing stock of the world. Okay. My people, go ye out of the midst of her and deliver ye every man his soul from the fierce anger of the Lord. And this is not telling us to physically get out of here. Spiritually separate yourself from this place because the Lord is going to deliver his elect from here. All right. And wherever you are, if you're of the elect, you're going to be delivered. See, lest your heart faint and ye fear for the rumor that shall be heard in the land. For a rumor shall both come 1 year, and after that in another year shall a rumor come, and the rumors of the MOTB, the rumors of war. All of these things have been rumored, a rumor of civil war. But after so much time, there's going to be violence in the land and ruler against ruler. And these are the times that we're in. Therefore, behold, the day is come that I will do judgment upon the graven images of Babylon, and her whole land shall be confounded, and all her slain shall fall in the midst of her. See? So the Lord is getting ready to destroy this place, man. Okay? Then the heaven and the earth and all that that is therein shall sing for Babylon, and the spoiler shall come unto her from the north. That's speaking of Russia. All right, saith the Lord, as Babylon have caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall the slain fall of all of the earth. All right. So the Lord is getting ready to destroy this place. Okay. And BRICS, though it's a financial alliance or a trade alliance, okay, don't think for 1 second that the sword ain't involved as well, man. And those nations are going to come up against this place. Okay. Yep. Another one. Putin said he's tired of the West hypocrisy. See that? Putin is fed up. So the mindset of being fed up with the West starts, all right, in the mind of Russia, right? So they're leading this rebellion against the West. Okay. Let's see here. And this BRICS summit just happened. Okay. Speaking at the BRICS summit, Putin said that Russia will no longer tolerate the broken promises of NATO and its allies. He emphasized his dissatisfactions with the West, all right, disregard for international agreements and fairness. So all of those agreements they've made, all right, they've broke every covenant. As a matter of fact, that's scriptural. They never keep their promise. Okay. Psalms, what's that? Psalms 58. I believe that's where it's at. This is a good one. Psalms 58 and 2. Yea, in heart ye work wickedness, ye weigh the violence of your hands in the earth. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. All they do is lie. Okay, but that's not the one I'm looking for. Psalms. God damn. It's like I always have it, but there you go. Psalms 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He has broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Okay. Let's just type in see if it comes up. Did the NATO really promise not to expand eastward? Of course, it's going to be misinformation. Did NATO betray Russia by expanding east? Because they weren't supposed to expand east anymore. So why are they trying to add Ukraine to NATO? And why is that even a talking point? Which that's a proxy war by the United States. That's all that is. Okay. But and those Ukrainians ain't nothing but small hats. Okay. Anyway, what was I at? Let's see here. Yeah, he broke his covenant. All right, but he said he's tired of the West hypocrisy. Okay? It's fair to lie in our faces about NATO not expanding and then expanded anyway. Putin acts referring to assurances given to Russia in the 90s. See? He also criticized the 2014, all right, backed maiden coup in Ukraine, which ousted the country's democratically elected president, saying it was a violation of international law. That's all this man has been doing. That's all of Babylon and the small hats have been doing. Okay, and who's backed them? The EU, the NATO. He added that it had led directly to the ongoing conflict between Kyiv and Moscow. There is no justice here, Putin remarked. We want to change this situation and we will achieve it. The Russian president also rejected recent claims by UK intelligence that Moscow was responsible for unrest in the UK, dismissing them as nonsense. He argued that any problems in Britain were due to its own domestic policies, not Russian interference. Okay? So they're tired of the West. They're tired of the NATO. Okay? His comments come amid rising tensions between Russia and NATO, with Putin highlighting what he sees as the West's continual hypocrisy on security matters. Okay? Yeah. Right. Now, let's deal with this talking point here, as Turkey, all right, is seeking to join BRICS. Now, Turkey is a part of NATO. So what, isn't that a conflict of interest? Okay. It says relations between the long-serving Turkish and Russian presidents are sometimes tense, but they have both rebuffed U.S. influence and in differing ways have shaped military conflicts, all right, from the South Caucasus to Syria and North Africa. Erdogan, all right, the president of Turkey, has said his relationship with Putin is based on joint understanding, mutual trust, and respect. Putin has called Erdogan a strong leader and reliable partner, while also saying he has not always found him easy to deal with. See, but prophetically, okay, these nations, all right, Turkey is going to join themselves to Russia. As a matter of fact, this is the book of Jeremiah 51, okay, and 27. Stand, Salakia, man, shit. So much. Anyway, it says, set ye up a standard in the land and blow the trumpet among the nations. Okay, prepare the nations against her. Against who? Babylon. And call together the kingdoms of Ararat. Ararat is Turkey. Many, that's Armenia. And Ashkenaz, Germany. All right, which although Germany seems to be, you know, kind of going against Russia eventually. All right, because a lot of those sanctions that were put on Russia, you know, that worked against Germany, and they were kind of in an uproar. But eventually, Germany, all right, is going to side, okay, and align themselves with Russia as well. Appoint a captain against her, calls the horses to come up, all right, as rough caterpillars. So again, and you got to understand, those Turkey is angry at what those small hats are doing to their Muslim brothers, the Palestinians, man. Okay, so again, prophetically, Ararat, all right, which is Turkey, all right, is going to side, okay, with America. It says, prepare against her the nation with the kings of the Medes, which is Russia, all right, the captains thereof and all the rulers thereof and all the land of his dominion. So these countries are going to side with Russia. Now, let's play this video I have here. We'll get a few more things and we'll close it out. Let's see here.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has hailed what he's calling a new multipolar world order after welcoming world leaders to the BRICS summit. The meeting in Russia is the first since the Alliance of Emerging Market Nations took on 4 new members: Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. On the sidelines of the summit, Chinese leader Xi Jinping and Indian President Narendra Modi are set to hold their first bilateral meeting in 4 years. UN Chief Antonio Guterres is also present. He will sit down with Russian President Putin to discuss the war in Ukraine, a decision that has angered Ukraine's government. Well, another leader making the trip to Russia for the BRICS summit is Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. His country is seeking to become the first NATO member to join the BRICS club, which likes to see itself as a counterweight to the West. DW correspondent Yulia Han has more on Turkey's ambitions.
Turkish President Erdogan is trying to forge new ties beyond his traditional Western allies. For some time now, he has shown interest in joining BRICS. The bloc led by Russia and China includes some of the largest emerging economies, and views itself as a counterweight to the Western-led global order.
Turkey cannot achieve its goals only by turning towards the West. Turkey can become a strong, prosperous, prestigious, and effective country if it develops its relations with the West and East simultaneously.
But Turkey is a NATO ally and a candidate for EU membership. So what is Erdogan hoping to get out of BRICS?
His Excellency, Mr.
Ankara's ties with its Western allies are often strained. Erdogan has sought to carve out a more independent foreign policy, analysts say, and to bolster Turkey's global influence.
Erdogan's policy has always been a balancing act, wanting to have...
See, they've always, played both sides. And when you look up Ararat, let's just look it up. Mount Ararat, they say that's where the Noah's Ark landed. Okay. Mount Ararat, that's Turkey. So when you look it up here, all right, the kingdoms of Ararat, Mini, that's Armenia, Ashkenaz, Germany, and appoint a captain against her. The captain is going to be Russia. Okay.
Have a foot in each camp, and also where he can, playing off the West against Russia, the US against China, and so on. So BRICS probably provides an opportunity for that.
Erdogan is also frustrated with...
So BRICS provides an opportunity for Turkey to side with Russia.
The European Union. Turkey's decades-old membership talks have been stuck, mainly because of what Brussels says is democratic backsliding under Erdogan. This limits Turkey's ability to trade and has prompted Ankara to look elsewhere.
This decision is also informed by the difficulties that Turkey has had in upgrading its economic relationship with Europe, and there's built up accumulated frustration over that.
Membership in BRICS could help the Turkish economy that's been ailing under Erdogan in recent years. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. Founded in 2009, the economic bloc now has 9 members and generates more than a third of global GDP.
It could further facilitate the inflow of foreign direct investment from those countries, and here particularly China. And we've seen examples of recent interest from Chinese electric car manufacturers to invest in Turkey.
But BRICS is often described by its critics as a tool for Chinese and Russian influence and a platform for authoritarian governments. So what would that mean for Ankara's relations with the West?
It would be a big deal and really not something that European Union countries or Turkey's allies in the West would respond favorably. But from Turkish angle, I think it's not something that European Union countries or Turkey's allies in the West would respond favorably. But from Turkish angle...
So the EU countries, which, which that Turkey has been trying to become a member of EU, apply for membership, but they ain't been messing with them. Right, which being a part of EU gives you the ability to, trade, to travel, to do all kind of stuff. All right. So again, Turkey is like, well, F it. We gonna side with Russia, okay? And this is all a fulfillment of biblical prophecy.
I think it's a sign of desperation, trying to get the West to pay more attention to its needs.
A political gamble that could prove risky, and it doesn't seem clear at all whether or when Turkey would be accepted into BRICS. This year, the alliance already gained 4 new members. Some in the bloc have signaled they do not want further enlargement, at least for now. Erdogan might have to stay in the waiting line.
And DW's Yulia Han, who filed that report, joins us now from Istanbul. Yulia, what is President Erdogan hoping to get out of his meeting with President Putin at this BRICS summit?
Well, maybe some positive signals on Turkey's bid to join the BRICS bloc. A Kremlin spokesperson earlier today said that NATO membership wasn't an obstacle to becoming a member of BRICS, so we will have to wait and see. But the Turkish president has had his fair share of meetings with the Russian president since the Kremlin invaded Ukraine in 2022. The two leaders are known to get along pretty well. Turkey is a NATO member and it has balanced its relations between the West and Russia over the past year. It is a strong supporter of Ukraine's sovereignty. It has supplied arms and drones to Kyiv. At the same same time, Erdogan has kept good relations with Russia. Ankara did not join Western sanctions, and that has helped the Turkish government to play an important role in some significant initiatives like the grain deal, prisoner exchanges. And I think Erdogan is still hoping to play the role of a mediator in any potential peace negotiations. But since he's also traveling with his trade and economy ministers, I think economic relations with Russia are also going to be high on the agenda for Erdogan.
How likely is it, Yulia, that Turkey will actually become a member of BRICS soon?
Well, experts say it's pretty unlikely that Turkey will become a full member of BRICS anytime soon. There seems to be quite some resistance from India, for example, in BRICS to a Turkish membership because of Ankara's good relations with Pakistan. The BRICS have recently come up and suggested some sort of partner country model for those wanting to join, and the list seems to be quite long. President Putin earlier today boasted that more than 30 countries wanted to join, among them countries like Azerbaijan, Nigeria, Thailand. So a partnership category might be more realistic for Turkey as well. And then I think it also depends on how Turkey's Western allies are going to react. We haven't seen much public reaction, but last month, asked about Turkey's BRICS ambitions, a spokesperson for the EU said that the European Union expects all its candidate countries, and Turkey still is a candidate, to firmly support European values. So how is this going to play out? Are Turkey's Western allies at some point going to come forward and say, wait a moment, that does not work for us, what can we offer you instead? And I think that...
And there you go. So this speaks to the end of the statue when you get Daniel's second chapter. All right, we're not going to go too deep into it, but and see, when you read Ezekiel the 38th chapter as well, okay, these different nations, Persia, Ethiopia, Libya, you know, look up, you know, certain, you know, ties that these nations are having. Gomer and all his bands, that's you know, part of modern Turkey. The House of Togomar, that speaks to Turkey, of the North Quarters and all his bands, and many people with them. See, be thou prepared for thyself, thou and all that company that shall assemble themselves unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So Russia is going to be a guard to these nations, man. Okay? And we're ultimately witnessing this happen in our day. All right? Because when you get Daniel, the second chapter, NATO and the EU is going to be divided. Okay? Daniel chapter 2, the revival of Rome at 40, and the fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces. This is Esau, Edom's kingdom, all right, the Western Roman Empire, which gave them their power seat, the dragon, the red dragon, and subdued all things. And as iron breaketh in pieces, shall it break in pieces and bruise, right? And that's what Rome was able to do. But remember, the Western Roman Empire fell. It's been revived, starting at the Renaissance, all right, out of Italy. And then eventually you had the Spanish, the French, the British, America, all right. Israel's a part of that whole thing, right? And they've been able to dominate, conquer using the same sword and deception that they did before in an even greater fashion. But whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, which this is the revival of Rome, all right, the end of the vision that Daniel saw, which the end of the vision in Revelation 13 speaks to the bear, right? Well, the end of the vision here, all right, gives you a little bit more insight, all right, here in Daniel 2 and 41, whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part potter's clay and part iron, the kingdom shall be divided. Okay, so when you go into it, the EU and the NATO, all right, they're all divided against, all right, Israel, all right, and Babylon. They're tired of their asses, man. We'll speak a little bit to that, maybe in another lesson or maybe in this one if the Spirit allows, but they don't agree economically. All right, they still have the power of the sword, but all right, they're having many disagreements. All right, you know, trade wise, you know, these different, you know, agreements and covenants they made are now being broken. See, you had, you know, particular EU and NATO countries that are seeking to be linked in with Russia. That goes against, all right, the West and their interest. Okay, so the kingdom shall be divided, but it shall have the strength of the iron. They still have the sword, For as thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, and as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. See, so the kingdom is partly strong, but the kingdom is partly broken. And what did the Lord say about a kingdom divided? It ain't going to stand. So the fact that NATO's second biggest military power, as a matter of fact, as you can see here, when you go, who has the greatest military in NATO? Well, the United States has the largest, but that's being weakened. Okay. But second is Turkey. Okay. Turkey. All right. Turkey has the largest, all right, and most powerful outside of the Americas. So if Turkey leaves, that's going to be a big blow. And prophetically, Turkey will leave. Turkey is going to side with Russia. Mark our words, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay. It says in Daniel 2, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, meaning they've went amongst these nations and made all of these agreements and, you know, confederacies. But now it's all being broken up. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So economically, politically, they're having some disagreements that's going to lead, all right, to all-out war. All right. And trade is a big part of that. You know, and you know, operating outside of the dollar, all of this is going to lead to World War III. But more than anything, those small hats and what they're doing is going to lead to World War III as well, because they're on a war path.
This is exactly the leverage the Turkish president is trying to use here.
In your report, you asked an analyst what BRICS membership would mean for Turkey's relations with the West. Let me put that same question to you. You've been living in Turkey now for several years. What would it mean?
Well, Turkey would be the first NATO member to join. Turkey is a country firmly anchored in the West, and it would join a club of nations that have come together explicitly to challenge the Western-led economic and geopolitical order. And that would be, experts are saying, a major diplomatic coup for Russia and China, because they could use that for their propaganda and say, look, now it's even NATO countries that want to join BRICS. So that's just another sign that the West is in decline. But living here in Turkey and seeing how the Turkish government, how Turkish President Erdogan communicates, they are very keen on emphasizing that Turkey's interest in BRICS, and by the way, also in other groupings like ASEAN or the China-led Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They do not mean an axis shift away from the West, let alone NATO, and that is also what experts are saying. Ankara is playing both sides, but that's driven primarily by economic needs and Turkey seeking for some strategic autonomy in a
so they're not cleaving one to another, right? And again, as we showed you, Saudi Arabia and Iran, you know, squashed decades of hostility. All right. And now they're doing joint military drills. OK, let's see here.
Let's now shift focus to West Asia. Iran and Saudi Arabia are set to engage in joint military drills in the Red Sea. This is big and comes with far-reaching implications. You see, it would mark a first for these regional powerhouses. For a long time, these West Asia rivals have supported opposing factions in conflict areas throughout the region. They cut off diplomatic ties in 2016 and reconnected last year through an unexpected deal mediated by China. Nevertheless, these joint exercises represent a major change. The question is, what is driving this shift? What's going on? Why is America's ally conducting joint exercises with Iran?
Why are American allies, all right, doing joint exercises with Iran, who's linked with Russia, okay? And Iran, again, in prophecy, that's Persia. All right. Persia is Iran. OK. All you got to do is look it up. Just go into it. All right. They're also known as the Carmenians in prophecy. OK. Yep. Persian. Territory of India. Let's see here. Yep, Iran. All right, officially the Islamic Republic of Iran, also known as Persia. See that? So this is all leading, all right, to all of these nations are ultimately going to turn and ally themselves against America. They're all gonna come against America. This is what this is all leading to.
The arch enemy of the United States. Could the Gaza war be a factor? America's ally conducting joint exercises with Iran, the arch enemy of the United States. Could the Gaza war be a factor, or is there more to it?
Could the Gaza war, which that's led by what? The small hats. And what do we always go to? All right. Jeremiah 49:20. Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord that he have taken against Edom, and his purposes that he have proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, and surely he shall make their habitations desolate. So the Lord has Israel moving in the spirit. That's putting a stench, a side eye in the eyes of these Arab countries, and they're like, well, fuck, F y'all. Because they know America is backing it, so they're all aligning themselves together, all right? And Turkey is going to be a part of that as well, okay? Because what's getting ready to happen is it's going to be although, Iran is barking like they're going to do something, there's going to be other, countries joining themselves, including Russia. They go decimate Israel. That's going to lead America to be drawn in, and eventually America is going to be destroyed. And it's going to be an all-out bloodbath war. Israel is doing what it's doing, all right, because at the end of the day, they are leading and drawing these nations out to war, drawing these nations to form, do military joint drills together, because they're getting ready to, it's getting ready to go down, as it says in the book of Joel, okay, 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords. Okay. And your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. India, they used to be focusing on agriculture. Now it's time for war. They're invested in war. And Russia is helping a lot of these nations with that. But why is Iran doing, drills with Saudi Arabia? Why is Saudi Arabia leaving, all right, the petrodollar, all right, for the most part, to join BRICS that's headed by Russia? All of this speaks to prophecy. That's all I'm saying, right, through the spirit.
You see, 1 year ago, Saudi Arabia was on the verge of recognizing Israel in a normalization agreement that would have dramatically changed the region's dynamics. It would have further isolated Iran. Now that agreement seems more distant than ever. Instead, Saudi Arabia, a US ally, is basically building closer ties with its ally's arch enemy, Iran. The American ally has stated that any future diplomatic accord for Gaza now depends on Israel acknowledging a Palestinian state. That's a remarkable turnaround for Saudi Arabia. And it's also a big setback for all US efforts in the region. Here's what we know so far. According to an Iranian report, not confirmed by Saudi Arabia, Iran and Saudi Arabia are planning to conduct joint military exercises in the Red Sea. The commander of Iran's Navy, Admiral Shahram Irani, was quoted by Iranian news agency saying, I'm quoting, Saudi Arabia has asked that we organize joint exercises in the Red Sea. Without providing details, including a timeline of when the drills could take place, he said, I'm quoting further, coordination is underway and delegations from both countries will hold the necessary consultations on how to conduct the exercise, quote unquote. And there's another reason why this development is extremely interesting. Remember, since the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza started last year, Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi rebels have waged a war against Israeli and American ships in the Red Sea, as well as the Gulf of Aden. They say that they attack to show their solidarity with the Palestinians in Gaza. The Houthis also have launched missiles targeting Israel, drawing retaliatory airstrikes from the Israelis late last month. But that's not all. The Iran-backed Houthis have also been fighting a Saudi-led coalition since 2015 after seizing the capital Sana'a and most of Yemen's population centers. The Houthis had seized the capital of Yemen and forced the internationally recognized government south to Aden. Saudi Arabia, which has backed the Aden government, engaged in a delicate balancing act. Why is that, you're wondering? Well, it's because Saudi Arabia is one of the world's biggest oil exporters. Naturally, it has tried to extricate itself from war right on its doorstep. When the Houthi attacks on ships crossing the Red Sea started last year, Saudi Arabia did not join the US-led naval coalition to deter the Houthi attacks. Efforts by the kingdom to broker a Yemen peace deal, in fact, also faltered in the wake of the Houthi attacks on ships. Which brings us back to what's happening today. Did America's inability to stop Israel from antagonizing everyone in West Asia lead to this?
Yes.
Did the growing unease over America's inability to de-escalate the tensions prompt some of its...
Because America didn't de-escalate nothing. They've actually, all right, sent military aid and money to Israel. Like, they'll get on the TV and, you know, Creepy Joe will say, you know, let's bring about peace. You know, let's stop. You know, y'all doing too. But Israel continues to do what they're doing, and they're formulating enemies every day.
Closest allies to increase engagement with its enemy number one in the region. All signs on the ground do point to this. You see, over the past few months, Arab nations have been leveraging their revived relations with the Islamic Republic, basically to ward off a wider regional war. While the world has focused on the Gaza war and the possibility of the Iran-Israel war, this is what's been happening in the background. This month, foreign ministers of the Persian Gulf states met for the first time as a group with their Iranian counterpart. This is a kind of reconciliation that has the ability to chip away centuries of sectarian antagonism. It is a sharp shift in the region.
And this is all going to end bad for the West. You can look more into that. There's one more.
Let's now further discuss this with Omar Badar, a member of the National Policy Council of the Arab American Institute. He's live for us in Washington.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia condemns Israel's military action against Iran. There's another one I had.
When Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took to the podium at the UN General Assembly last month, something incredible happened. The majority of countries from around the world immediately stood up and walked out in a silent protest against the Israeli leader. You probably
see that? Listen to that. People are tired of you small hats. People are tired of the West. Let's get ready to go down.
When Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took to the podium at the UN General Assembly last month, something incredible happened. The majority of countries from around the world immediately stood up and walked out in a silent protest against the Israeli leader. You've probably never seen that clip before, but it speaks volumes to the reality of the situation. Israel is now almost completely ostracized by the international community, as Netanyahu clings to a fundamentalist ideology that has turned Israel into the most violent nation in the world. Nearly 42,000 Palestinians have been murdered in the past 365 days. That's 1 out of 55 people in Gaza. With
we know it's more than that. You hear that, vocab?
69% of the victims being women and children. Israel's reported objectives of eliminating Hamas and freeing the hostages are no closer to being achieved, and new reports indicate that Israel's economy is paying a high price for its widening war. Israel rejects the two-state solution because it claims that a sovereign state of Palestine would profoundly endanger Israel's national security. But what if I told you the lack of a two-state solution is actually the biggest threat to the future of Israel? Israel's illegal occupation of Palestinian lands, its continuing apartheid rule over millions of Palestinians, and its extreme violence to defend that rule all put Israel's survival in jeopardy. Israel consistently preaches to the world that Palestinians and the Arab world cannot live alongside it and only wish to destroy it. But this statement is completely false, and you simply just need to listen to the words of Jordan's Prime Minister, who addressed the United Nations to combat this false narrative.
The Israeli Prime Minister came here today and said that Israel is surrounded by those who want to destroy it, an enemy. We're here, members of a Muslim Arab Committee, mandated by 57 Arab and Muslim countries, and I can tell you here, very unequivocally, all of us are willing to, right now, guarantee the security of Israel in the context of Israel ending the occupation and allowing for the emergence of a Palestinian state. He is creating that danger because he simply does not want the two-state solution. And if he does not want the two-state solution, can you ask Israeli officials, what is their end game?
What a powerful testimony. But more importantly, what a powerful question that absolutely needs to be answered. What is Israel's end game here? In the past 365 days, Israel has dropped 75,000 tons of explosives on Gaza, the equivalent of 5...
And I'm going to come back to this one because it's actually, I wanted to link it to another video I had. So, yeah, those small hats are on a warpath. But anyway, you know, that's pretty much it. Lord willing, y'all were edified. Shalom.